Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's stream. I hope that the audio issues that we had the last time with the streams, that the stream was just too quiet, are gone for now, and we are now good. Let me know if there are any audio issues or anything that you'd like to see improved. And I'm really looking forward to today's stream. ADO was so kind to provide me with an NFR copy of their latest installment in their orchestral series, which is Century Strings, the Century Strings bundle, which means the usual Century Strings and the Sordino strings, all in one big package. And I have to explain a little bit why I am doing it the way today, because this library is freaking huge. It's like 220 gigabytes when you install everything. And sorry, right now I'm this instrument that we're looking at right now, I preloaded that from an external SSD drive that I attached to my. It's actually from my mobile rig, because that's a 1 terabyte SSD drive, and there is the whole library. And then I have another set, which I'm going to be utilizing later when we're actually going to work on something, where I got rid of all mic positions except the mixed one. So on my main DAW, I have a smaller footprint of the library because I only kept the mixed samples and deleted all the other ones. So this is a little bit more comfortable on my DAW because I was just running out of space to showcase everything. But since I wanted to talk about the mic positions and all the stuff that's in there and take a look at that, I have preloaded 3 of the patches from the external drive, and preloaded because there have been some talks online in the VI Control forum, and there has also been a YouTube video about the fact that the initial patches have an incredibly long loading time. It's the same with me here, so right now if I would load a patch, it takes nearly 3 minutes till one of the patches is loaded. Might be because of the fact because it's an external USB 3 drive. So I did that already, so we don't have to bridge any waiting gaps for loading sounds. And yeah, this is what we're looking at today, ADO Century Strings. And as I've already said before, this is a huge beast. As I said, 220 something gigabytes when it's fully installed with the Sordino and the Century Strings. And this is what it looks like. So they streamlined their interface. If you watched my stream on Century Brass, or other videos on ATO's latest libraries, you might be familiar with that already. So you got the browser section with 10 different key switch slots that you can fill to your liking. You got different controls down here that you can control via different MIDI CCs, like dynamics, which is set up to mod wheel, expression C11, and then you got speed. We come to that in a little bit. Release hits, vibrato, and legato volume. And down here you have the mixer section and the equalizer. So when you have the full library installed, you can switch through different mic positions. Let's not longer talk, but just check it out and play some of the stuff and check it out. So this, what we are hearing now, is completely unprocessed. There's nothing in the mixer, and the sounds we're hearing even don't have a reverb. send activated, so it's really straight out of the box. This is what it sounds like. When you load the patch, initially it comes with the spiccato feather loaded into the first slot, and they sound like this. Actually, they sound like this. There is no mode wheel control, but you can control the expression. And let's look deeper under the hood what kind of articulations we have available. So this is pretty much everything that's available for a single instrument. Spiccato feather, spiccato tapped, staccato, marcato, pizzicato, bartok, collegno, ricochet, legato, sustained, non-vibrato, sustained vibrato, molto vibrato. Then you got a crossfade variation where you can crossfade between the different vibrato types. Minor and major trills, tremolo, tremolo sul pont, harmonic tremolo, harmonic sottasto, and then the often discussed arcs, which we will look onto in a little bit. First things first that I usually check out when checking a string library is the legato. So how does it sound like? And now we can see we loaded another articulation that some of the grayed out knobs now become available, like the vibrato intensity. So let's just play it. And depending on the velocity that you utilize while playing, you get different transitions. Like when you play really soft, you get that kind of portamento slide. So this is the mixed mic position. So let's switch that to the decker tree. So mixed automatically turns off when you switch to one of the other mic positions. So you can't mix the mixed one and one of the other positions unless you load the same patch again. So let's listen to the decker tree. And with the speed knob, you can actually control how fast the legato is reacting. So when you put that up, and then we can also control the vibrato intensity, so no vibrato at all. Up to molto vibrato. And let's bring one of the actually that was a little bit soft here. Let's bring one of the close mic positions here. And if we bring down the decker tree a little bit, we get more of the close mic information. And then you have different close mic options to choose from. So when we mute the decker for a second and, for example, just listen to close to. Or close one again. And then bring the decker back in. The library is recorded centered, so you don't have the classical orchestral panning. ADO has a great video on the website explaining how you can greatly utilize the mic positions to put them where you actually want to have them. Could even go a little bit more to the left and turn the decker a little bit down. And with the same you can actually do with the mixed position. So when you load up the mixed mic position, it's centered in its initial state. And then you just can turn it a little bit to the left, for example, if you want to have the first violin sitting on the left. Purists will actually argue that you move the entire room to the left and that it sounds unnatural. I personally find, since you're going to send that to an external reverb in your DAW anyway, I don't think it's much to bother about, and in a mixed context it actually sounds pretty cool, even when you just move the stereo information to the left for the violins, for example. Enough of legato, let's check out some other articulations. What I really love is the sol tasto, it sounds gorgeous. Great sound there. Let's check out the sustain that we can actually blend or crossfade the different vibrato states. Pretty nice. Maybe I'm just realizing that I always kind of get cut off by the gate from the mic, so maybe we just turn the gate off so the mic stays open. So let's check some of the short articulations. There is spiccato feathered. Then we have spiccato tapped. And with the speed knob you kind of adjust the sample start so you can make it more tight the more you dial in the speed knob to the right. That's pretty hefty. Then you got staccato. Bring the speed knob all the way back to the left. Then the next thing is the marcato. And this is one thing that I actually dislike about the programming of the library. I can understand why they did it the way they did it, but it just doesn't fit with my workflow. They don't actually release the samples when you release the key, so it always plays in full length. As far as I'm aware, they are thinking about an update to bring in an alternate version of these kind of patches, so they release when you actually release the key. Right now you only have the speed knob to control the length of the marcato patch, for example. So when you have it all the way to the left, you get the longest version. And no matter how long or short I hold the notes, is always the same length. So with the speed knob you can... That's way shorter, of course, so it's kind of a workaround, but sometimes you want that attack of the marcato and release it immediately afterwards, and that's just not possible right now. So the speed knob is the only way to handle this right now. Then we listen to a bunch of other articulations later on, so let's check out the tremolo. And as you can hear with the release, even the mixed position is pretty dry. You can even dry that up a little bit more with a release tail knob. Or you can give a little bit more room information there. By extending the release tail, so depending on how much room information you want to have in the samples, that's a great way to sculpt it a little bit. Harmonic tremolo is also a very nice articulation. Pretty cool sound there. And then let's talk a little bit about one of the major features of secondary strings, which is the arcs. So the arcs basically, the concept behind it is that you don't need to write mod wheel data or anything like that. It's just a performance of single notes performed as an arc. So you start soft, go to the middle and go back to soft. With the speed knob you can control the length. And as far as I'm aware, you have 3 different dynamic levels, so you can play soft, medium, and hard. And for these you get different versions, arc short, short decrescendo, then we have 2 bows. This kind of reminds me of the stuff they had in their Adagio libraries, but it kind of just is a little bit more grown up. Back then with Adagio you had a lot of different sample length and things like that on different notes, so you had one of the same arc but they ended on in different spots. So there were some timing issues and things like that, and that is, as far as I'm aware now, so I haven't had so much time with it, but what I've checked out, it seems pretty consistent now throughout the library. So, actually that's a good suggestion. I don't have a limiter on my master bus. We may actually put something there to prevent clipping, because this library, as it initially loads, is pretty loud. So, and since I don't have any gain staging going on and have everything at 0, we are a little bit hitting the red here. So let's just bring down the ceiling a little bit. So, should help in preventing some clipping here. Sorry for any inconvenience you might have had there. So, the arc's long decrescendo. And again, the speed knob controls the speed. You don't have any real timing information, so you just need to use your ear and the click and when you utilize these patches, and just need to figure out a way how they match into your composition. But the range is pretty decent for the speed variation that you got with the speed knob. So when you listen, I mean, we can actually just try this. So right now we are at 110. So let's just put something in here. And let's see, so with 110, the length and the speed knob all the way to the left, we have a length of pretty much 2 bars. And when we put it all the way to the right, then we have a length of it's not that much, in my opinion, that you can really turn it down. And speed knob to the right. Give it one more test. Maybe I did something wrong. It seems like half a beat. Let's try another dynamic layer. Just check it out. Pretty much ends on the 4 of the second bar, and when we turn it down, one bar difference there. So at least the long articulations are not that different. We can check that out on the cellos, for example. So we haven't even talked about any other patch. So the cellos pretty much, they have all the same to 90%, all the same articulations. So as you can see here, for example, we have Lure short and long, and for the violins we only have Lure short. I have no idea why they didn't keep it consistent there for the other articulations, but well, who knows. Let's check the same out here with the long bows for the cello. So we switch this to channel 2, which should give us the cello. And I just need to make sure speed is all the way to the left. So, and then we shorten it by turning the wheel all the way to the right. is where it holds. It is how long it stays at the top of its dynamic range. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is here check this out with a speed knob. So okay, now it's controller. So I just put my controller 5 onto the speed knob so that I can actually control that from here. So we have it all the way to the left, and then we are going to trigger it again with the controller all the way to the right. And then we can hear one after another what the difference is. So check this out. So actually you hear that the rebow is earlier than in the first version. At least that's what my impression was right now. Rebow pretty much happens on the beat. 3, 4, rebow. And on the second version, when we increase the speed, it's minimal earlier. Let's try another patch here to really check it out with the arcs long. Check this. I can't help myself but have the feeling that the shorts are more affected by the speed knob than the longs, but I might be wrong there. Yeah, definitely. So there is a huge difference between these two. So you got pretty much a bar on the shorts. So let's check this again. Yeah, that's nearly halfway of the short. So the short arcs, it's much more recognizable there. So besides that, let's have another look at one of the Sordino patches. As I've said, I've loaded up all the stuff, well, so we would check out a little bit more of that when actually working on something. And so this is the violas Sordino. So let's check out the legato of these. They have really, really lovely tone. So this is pretty gorgeous. One more check with some different mic positions here. We'll just listen to that. Bring in the white, for example. Let's check this out. And then when you want faster legato, you just put up, just need to read through what Tyler is writing. I don't think it's the length of the arc. The change sounds like it holds at the top of the arc when the speed knob is set all the way to the top. Okay. So actually for the legato, the speed knob controls the speed of the legato, and that definitely is recognizable. So when you kind of play runs, what is the difference between the Sordino and the normal sound? Good question. I will close. You all get the fact that there are different mic positions, that you can mix a lot of stuff. But what I'm going to do now is delete this contact instance for the local instruments, and now get actually into the little sort of template that I've set up. And here we have all those sounds loaded. So this is the violins general. You can see the articulations that I put in here, or maybe let's have a look at it. So for this stream, I have prepared the instrument that I'm going to use, and I don't know what kind of strings I'm going to use, and I even don't know what I'm going to write later on. But I loaded the Sordinos and the normal ones. So good question, what is the difference between Sordino and the general? So Sordino is when the players put a kind of felt under the strings which mutes the sound, and you can directly compare this here. Let's take the legato for the violins. Turn the speed knob all the way to the left. And then we check the same with a Sordino. We can even look at that here. And the tone is also a little bit softer in terms of volume. And what is really cool is when you combine these two. So then Thomas Newman did that a lot in his scores, combining Sordino strings and normal strings. And it even is more recognizable in the short. So when you play spiccato, and then in the Sordinos. So it's a little bit more muffled. It's a little bit like you put a EQ on it and low cut, high cut, low pass filter. But where it really starts to shine is when you combine the two. So, and then we can have a look at some of the other patches. What I did here, by the way, in terms of mic positioning, is I put the violins. Keep in mind, we are now talking about the mixed position that we are using. So down here, because these are actually now the samples from my DAW and not from the external drive. And here I only have the mixed position. And I keep everything here as is and just do the panning here with a contact pan slider, which is connected here to my Cubase pan slider in the MIDI channel. So I can push the violins to the left if I want to, or can send them to the right, like for example like this. And since we are sending the whole thing to a reverb in Cubase, in this case I'm using this hall from Verb Suite Classic, nearly 2 second medium hall to send the strings to, and I keep the amount rather low. But when you mute it, there is an obvious difference. And do you know if the contact pan sliders are properly panning or if there are just balance sliders? Actually, I have no idea. I just trust my ears there, whether that works or not. And not really sure. I think you can say there's something about the panning in the settings. Can't really tell, to be honest. So if anybody knows, please feel free to enlighten me as well. Other than that, I just go with my ears. So here in these patches, I have split them up. So the general key switch patches is, like you can see the list here, legato, sustain, soltasto, harmonics, tremolo, and some short articulations, the usual stuff that you have. And then I have put the arcs into a separate patch, and also the trills in here. So next thing, what I did here in terms of panning is I have the violins all the way to the, not all the way, halfway to the left, -32, and actually I need to correct this because I have kind of a modern panning here. So the violins 2 are sitting opposite side of the violins 1. Just doing this here for the Sordinos as well. So send them to the right, which sounds like this. When you play them together, you get a very nice centered image. And we'll see how my PC handles this when you combine the Sordinos and the normal violins 1 and Sordino on normal violins 2, you get a pretty big sound. And then the violas are turned a little bit to the right, the cello a little bit to the left. Then we have the cello arcs. Great sound. And the basses, I have them straight in the center of Interestingly enough, the Sordino basses sound louder than the normal ones. And other than that, they just have a little bit of flugelhorn. I was thinking of loading that up. So we will see what we can come up with. Another thing that I wanted to get my hands on, because I actually bought Hybrid Tools Neo quite a while ago and haven't actually touched it yet. So before the stream, I was looking through some of the videos that ADO have done on Hybrid Neo, and it's actually a pretty great library, and I want to not what's up here. Okay, there we go. Wanted to use some synth sounds here, and actually I found this one. And it worked really nice together with the gate. That's why this was already loaded, because I tried that before the stream. Has a little bit of that aura feel, and let's actually play a little bit around with the delay. Give it a little bit more. I like this sound, so that was kind of the initial idea for the whole stream. So let's see what we can actually do with it. If you wonder why I have this all sitting in Vienna Ensemble Pro, when I'm streaming, Cubase tends to get a little bit a little bit overboard with the CPU usage, and we get crackles and pops and all that stuff when the streaming is running. So it works better when I have the stuff in VE Pro. Usually when I'm working in my normal sessions, I would have all the synth stuff and all these kind of instruments directly in my session, but for now we are going with having it outside in VE Pro. So I try to explain as much as possible when we are actually looking into the GUI and change things there. So we have a little bit of a click, and actually I want to step record something, the initial idea that I kind of had before we started the stream was this little synth pattern in C minor, which kind of in the end is like nothing more than that, just playing around on the C minor. So I'm just going to record that now in step record mode. So this is 8th notes, and the 16th division comes from the gate that is activated on the sound. So when I actually deactivate the gate here, then we so the sound, and when the gate is activated, you get this da-da. I like that. Maybe even decrease the length a little bit. Nice sound there. So let's step record this. Yeah. So let's do like this. And actually the movement comes from the mod wheel, because that controls the filter on Neo. It does not, because I'm not on the mod wheel. Now we are. So this, and then we have a start. Okay, so another thing that I wanted to mention, I said that overall it's pretty consistent in terms of the articulations that you have available. There are, though, quite a lot of difference between the normal strings and the Sordino strings. So when you look at the available articulations, the Sordino list is way shorter than the normal string list. So with that in mind, I try to make my workflow as comprehensive as possible to not do a bunch of different expression maps for the different instruments, so they all use the same expression map and the same key switch layout. But for the Sordino strings, for example, you see there are empty slots in between, and this is where the articulations from the other patches are not available. So, for example, for sol tasto, you not really necessarily need a Sordino sol tasto, because sol tasto is pretty much like Sordino already. So that's just not available with Sordino. And also Colenio and pizzicato and all that stuff is not sampled with a Sordino articulation. So if it sometimes happens that I hit a key switch and just don't hear a sound, it might easily be because this certain articulation is not available in the Sordino patch. Whew, that was a long sentence. I need a drink. How nimble would you say the legatos are? I tried that a moment ago, where I tried to increase the speed knob for the legato. So let's switch this to legato. And when I increase the speed all the way to the right, I wouldn't say they're really capable of runs, but the legato is pretty fast overall. So this is with the speed knob all the way to the right. When you put that to the left, I personally think they react pretty great, and you can really cover a wide range of tempos with that. So it's not really made to play runs and things like that, but the range is pretty wide, from really this soft soaring portamento so that's cool. So let's see what we can actually do with this. Let's try some short violas and try to really play them subtle. So we repeat that, and then we are going to turn the speed knob up a little bit to make them more direct. And also be a little bit more consistent with the velocity there. And shorten them just a bit. So we can raise the volume a little bit, and I would say it's about minus 20 milliseconds, something like that, to really get them onto the beat. Okay, that's a start. You must have an insane CPU to be able to process contact libraries and string together. Not insane, but decent. But as I've mentioned before, I sourced out all the contact libraries to VE Pro because Cubase starts to behave a little bit wonky when I'm streaming and doing the audio at the same time. So that's kind of a little bit of a workaround there. But yeah, the CPU itself is decent enough to handle that. Maybe change the tempo there. Just thinking of a little intro melody there, but let's start with some chords first, and I actually utilize the sol tasto here from the first violins. Or maybe let's check out the arcs. Maybe we'll find something that really fits nicely. Okay, let's try the long ones. Let's check out. I like that one more. So give it a bar. So if I could just play. Come on. So and let's put the, just to be safe, CC5 is the speed knob Um, so yeah, if you go to www.cwvi.de, there's a special page for the specs. I can just post you a link. Give me a second. Over here, and actually there is, I can directly send you to the page. There you go. So on this website, cwvi.de/techspecs, you get the specifications for my system. So back to topic. So CC5 controls the speed knob, and I bring that all the way down. So I want to have the longest possible arc here for the long arcs, and actually I want to have them on this articulation. That works. Maybe give it a little bit of a bump. A little bit faster, please. And let's check out how the arcs sound when we put them onto the violin's one normal as well. And if I'm not mistaken, it should sound the same now, since I tried to have all the same articulations and the same MIDI controls. So it should control the length for the arcs of the normal strings and of the Sordino strings at the same time. The only thing that I want to do is bring down the CC11 for the normal strings, because that seems a little bit too much here. You can see that I still do a little bit of modulation, which is dynamics, but I think it is not working on the arcs. Yeah, exactly. Dynamics is turned off anyway, so I'm just writing the expression. And let's duplicate the violas with the Sordino violas. It just, the combination of Sordino and the normals has such a lush quality when you listen to the violas on their own. And we then add the Sordinos. It sounds like it's evening out the sound field a little bit, makes it less harsh, whereas the Sordino on their own would have too little of an impact. But the combination of both is absolutely gorgeous. So it kind of sounds like we can use a pedal tone in the first violins, so let's try the harmonics there. And let's try this. Let's try some, just a little bit of pizzicato there for the basses. So this is G-1. So just a little bit of bass information there. And this one was too high. There we go. Thank you very much for your kind words. I enjoyed working on Elements, so glad you like it. Nice nickname, by the way. Really slow musician. Like that. So we're just going to duplicate this whole thing and then see if we actually come up with something melodic for the cello. I feel there could be a cello solo line on top. Just turning up the speed knob a little bit, and I think I just put this into repetition and try some cello lines on top. That one, so let's record this. I had it. I think I was on the F in the first run. I like that one. So I want to have this in legato, and let's... Mosquito! Where the hell in middle of winter is a mosquito coming in my basement? Where from? Well, anyway, record some got it. Live kill on live stream. Okay. So just set up the speed here. Not all the way to the right, but a little bit faster legato transitions here. Maybe go halfway. And maybe we are going to duplicate the cello here with 2 horns, for example. What do you say? And luckily, these guys, I just brought in the... by the way, there will be I had a ladybug. For the Marienkäfer. Just brought in my iPad here, so that's from the Century Brass stream. So I did a little patch here on or page on my iPad to control the brass. That's a tough question. I know it's not released yet, but do you recommend buying Century strings or waiting for the Spitfire Hans Zimmer strings? I actually was surprised when Spitfire announced their Hans Zimmer strings. So the neck string library and bigger and bolder and to be honest, I don't intend to get these. They sound cool from the demos, but I'm kind of tired of this over-the-top sound and bigger, and ADO had the same with Majestica, and Berlin Orchestra Tools is doing that with the Metropolis Arc and Metropolis Arc 3. I bought Metropolis Arc 3 and have really a hard time figuring out where I actually really can utilize the raw power that this library has, and it's same a little bit. I personally think that it's a little bit over the top with 26 mic positions and all that stuff. I mean, who the is actually going to utilize that and need 26 mic positions, and you kind of bang your SSDs with 450 gigabytes or whatever of data, where you utilize kind of 1/10 of it, if even. And so, yeah, I think it's a little bit over the top, but there might be people who actually enjoy it and have it. And for example, with Hans Zimmer percussion, I like the variety of having all the different mic mixes, like the Junkie XL mixes and the Stephen Lipson mixes and all that stuff, because they really give a unique flavor and sound. And maybe the same happens with the strings, and you can create a wide range of soundscapes. But given the strings that I have already, and especially when you ask me to compare it with, for example, Century Strings is a way more intimate library, I would say, and the section size is way smaller. It's not chamber strings, but it's also not full-blown symphonic orchestra. It's kind of a good middle way in between. And for my composing workflow and for my kind of work that I do, this is way more fitting. What I personally find is, I mean, we're coming to the conclusion before actually I have done anything, but so far from what I have found is it will not be my bread and butter library for trailer stuff, but I think that's not the aim of the library anyway. You can utilize other stuff for that, like I mentioned before, the Metropolis Arc stuff, and I love the music sampling strings, for example, for all this really energetic, high energy trailer stuff. But overall, I think you can compare the new upcoming Zimmer strings from Spitfire, and then you would need to put all the other libraries that are out there into the pot as well. So is there a need for it's always hard to ask, do I need to buy the string library? You don't need to buy anything. It's another tool in the box that you have, and that allows you to utilize it for different soundscapes. And I think when it comes to finding your own voice and finding your own style and things like that, especially with samplestration when you don't work with live musicians, the more choices you have at hand, it can help to find your niche and your own voice by combining these different tools that you have at hand. But in the end, does it really matter if you utilize Spitfire chamber strings or the 80th century strings or music assembling or cinematic studio strings, whatever is out there? These are all tools that get you to a certain point, and the libraries keep getting better and better. And I mean, as I said, even Center Strings has like 220 gigabytes when you utilize all the mic positions. I'm fine with the mix position, and so I have 1/5 of the size, and I'm good with that. And for the stream, I concentrate on utilizing Center Strings, obviously because I want to showcase these, so we're going to use mostly these. In my usual workflow, I would rather combine things and utilize the arcs, for example, but the legatos from soaring strings or things like that. It depends on what you want to do. So, not really an answer to your question, but maybe it is. Just my opinion there. So, where were we? Let's bring in a little bit more belly to it. So we start to use a little bit of tuba there. Actually, I want to have this on the one. Legato. There we go. And expression. There we go. Why is there a jump? Okay, we got this. And then we have some arcs in the trombones as well, so why not use these? Let's try this. Want to have the soft layer here. Together with the tuba, it sounds like this. Actually, let's keep it in with 2 notes. Maybe on the last one here, switch from the arcs to sustain to really give it that rise there. And then we are going to add it like this. I think that's fine. Let's listen in context. Just heard a little back voice there. Just a little flourish there. Like that. That's a nice line there. It's time to actually, didn't I do some basses there? To switch to a little bit of tremolo. So we need a little bit of modulation here. So MIDI track here. For the synth we need a new output. Actually name these. This is so I want to have a piano here. Bring up this guy. So piano, 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 piano. There we go. Bring the volume down using my standard preset, which is my production music piano. So, and actually name it Grandeur. So this comes in on 1 and 2, goes out to output 2, and this is here on channel 2. There we go. Sorry for that. And what I want to do is take the piano and put it in an incredible long space, so we sending this through shimmer. A big stereo, way less mix, do the shift to 0, a little bit feedback, less diffusion size, and way less modulation. And this should give us okay, a little bit more. And then also turn down the volume a good bunch. Quantize this. Okay, actually hard quantize this. Make sure that my sustain pedal is there. And get rid of that last bar. And that was a little bit too much. Let's say -5. That last run was a little bit much. like that. Different direction. I was thinking of going bigger, but maybe we reduce it, and that is more interesting. Kind of hearing a melody there. Must try something there. Okay, we change this up to maybe like this. So for the violins, let's change to legato here. And maybe let's try Sordino even. Go with the legatos. I'm just putting So I think I try both versions here with the Sordino and the normal one. Just a little bit of nudging it to the right spot. And this time I'm going to not copy that, but record it twice. copy that and just make sure that we have the same speed knob setting for these lines here. So just make sure it's all the way down and on the Sordino as well. So that at least the transitions, the legato transitions, are the same for both of these. I like that sound. It's a very melancholic quality there. Let's try this in eighth notes. So, and this time I'm going to record the modulation data. So like this. And just to make sure it's loopable, I'm actually starting here. So let's try something downwards movement. I'll rather try it in the violas. No, that's not the one. Okay, I need to put a little bit more thought into what we're going to do there. So we have, that's the major 7. Let's start with the cellos. we go. Okay, there is something wrong in the model. Yeah, there we go. Do like this. And same for expression. Nudging a little bit over there and see again how this sounds. My template with V Pro, my master template, it's grown pretty much. I'm good with it, and the latest game score that I've done is totally done on that template. Thanks for the question there. How often I use it depends on what I want to do. So it's not that I start whatever new project comes in, I start with that kind of template. But for example, I'm doing some library work in the next weeks on some new trailer stuff and things like that, and there I'm going to heavily utilize the big template. Okay, what we want to do is bring in some Sordino bass notes. Should be enough. I really want it to be subtle. So now I'm actually looking into the MIDI notes to figure out what I want to do in the viola to kind of fill out the spaces in the chords. Actually, I'm moving in fifth here, that's kind of strange. Although it works, it's fine. Depends on what the viola is doing here. So viola, there we go. Yeah, that's good. I rather like to stay there on the V and duplicate this with a Sordino, but just want to make sure that we are starting the first note. Yeah, okay, that's good. And this is legato here. Let's listen to the strings on their own. Let's keep it there. So nice question there. As I remember, you save all your project files with decoupled vPro instances. Not entirely correct. I go into that in a second. But what about if you want to tweak some patches in template but don't save them in CPR file, or in that case we save all changes of template with Cubase project. Okay, decoupled is right, and in the template I have pretty much just all the patches that I don't tweak or that I tweak via MIDI controllers from Cubase. So nothing that I change on the GUI or anything. If I have patches like synth, for example, output libraries, Heaviosity, although that stuff is hosted outside, or Omnisphere, for example. I don't put these into vPro. I load these on a per project basis in Cubase, so I don't have an entirely outsourced template with vPro only. I kind of do a hybrid approach and have these synth stuff and all the patches that I know that regularly change. They're saved within the project and not in vPro. So the vPro framework stays the same, and underneath I have all the other tracks that might change from queue to queue. Hope that helps. So you don't change mic positions? No, I don't. I just go with the sound that I like and stick to that. Or I have a entirely different template with another sound. For example, when I want to utilize chamber strings and they're just the close mics, for example, then they are not part of that template, then this is just another template. But then I don't need the big one anyway, when I know that I'm going for a different sound. But in regards to mic positions, for example, I have set it up the way that when I have the Spitfire Albion libraries, for example, especially with the new Albion, I have the mic controllers assigned to MIDI CCs, so that I, for example, in the start of a track I put it from CC 23 to 27. So when I know I want to have the close mic of the strings, for example, from Spitfire Albion in that track, I just raise the CC 23 controller that raises the mic volume for the close mic and can bring all the others down. So I still am able to, when I want to, for certain libraries to control the mic positions and change the sound. Or for example, Symphobia. I have my not sure which controller now, that I can switch between the stage and the close mic sound. So when I want a more dry sound, I'm just turning that knob, and when I open up the next project, this controller usually reinitializes before the sound starts, so that in the template it switches from stage to close, for example, on the Symphobia strings when I have it in another project and I have another setting. So it's a little bit of fumbling around, and it's growing all the time, and you find more and more things that you want to control and set up. So you need to put some thought in beforehand how much you want to tweak and change parameters in the instruments. I'm actually going to double the violins here with second violins. Okay. Like that, kind of a little bit different direction. Need to check the strings on their own. That's nice. Not sure whether it's maybe the horns. I like that, very subtle in the background there. And the main melody, let's duplicate that with a flute on top. Must be careful with the volume there. Ah, that's too high. Like that. So just need to listen this a little bit, like doing a short little break, and give it a listen and see where we finish this off in the end. So let's have a listen what we've done so far. Okay, I think we're going to duplicate this section over here. But make it grow a little bit more. So just copy the melody line over because I want to use the same. Put that there actually. Something went wrong there. I think. There we go. And this is the cool thing about having the Sordinos and the normal ones, because I can just copy this line and use the Sordino cellos to put the same line underneath. like this. And now using the long arcs from the bases. Actually, that last one needs to be a G. Just make sure we have the longest possible duration for the arcs. Maybe try the other one. Yeah, like that better. And with the trombones we do the same like with the basses. I'm using the arcs here. Like that, where it's going. Nice soundscape there. And I feel that the woodwinds can use a little bit more reverb. to copy this first pattern that we had in the synth and do a fade out for the cutoff. So and just to make it fit there, we're going to give it a rise there. So I'm just doing the last chord there. Fade it out. Don't want to put them into there. Longer and then doing a little bit of expression as well. Fade it out. Low bass note here. Yeah, let's bring in some really low end. So now the brass on its own sounds like this. I hope actually that it sounds. That's nice. Okay, listen to the whole thing again. hearing a little bit of a percussion roll there. Going to utilize, what are we going to do? Hand simmer percussion. Let's go with a low boom. Yeah, that should do it. Actually, I wanted to have that here. So bring back a little bit of the reverb for the strings. I think the brass can have a little bit more as well, so let's go with a little bit more reverb there. And what I'm going to do is put that one there, and that takes a little moment to load. Putting NLS on all the channels using the mic setting. Yeah, that's fine. On the stereo out, let's put the limiter to the very last. Using the, no, not the channel, but the stereo bus. Using the Neve here, like the Neve for orchestral settings. And then kind of the secret weapon, bring in the Slate MU, but actually don't do anything at all. Just sit there. So let's listen how that sounds. So one more thing I want to do to the piano. Let's solo this for a second. I love the lily white preset on the SSL bus compressor. Really great for piano. There's some certain kind of frequency in the strings that I want to control a little bit more. So I'm just going to group these together. So, and put in. And the cool thing is this nice little equalizer, Neutron 2, has a learn function where it actually listens to the audio that is running through it, and it's a good way to check out which frequencies it suggests that might be interfering. So I'm just going to loop this section from the strings. Question over there, what the reason to put Valhalla Shimmer Reverb into the inlet slot instead of the Sense? Because I wanted to utilize Shimmer just for this single channel alone, and that's why I don't need to set up a reverb send, but use it as an insert and have the mix over here. How much of the reverb signal I want to apply to the initial dry signal. So I learn again once more, and it doesn't change anything, it just listens to the audio and makes suggestions where it's definitely a little bit boxy over here, so we can turn that down a little bit. And we don't need the very, very low end for the strings. No, actually, let's this one. So at 40 Hertz should be fine. I don't want to interfere too much with the high end here. It's subtle, but it definitely helps open up the strings a little bit. One thing more I want to do to the master chain, one of my all-time favorites, to give it a little bit more sparkle, is the clariphonic. With this thing you really have to be careful what you do with it. When you realize once I bypass it. keys. Let's go with instead of the L1, utilize the ozone limiter because I really like that one. Let's go with balanced here. I'm just going to have a look at, to aim for kind of, yeah, like that. -14. Since there's not much happening in here and no punchy sounds and things like that, might even not go as high. And can't utilize it anyway because my CPU is killing it. Okay, then we go for the cheap solution, which is either the Steinberg's own. Where is it? Oh, let's go with a L3. L3 to the rescue. There we go. This one. So I'm going to meter the loudness here and see where we are actually at. So let's listen to the whole thing. Improve a little bit on the audio performance if I would raise the buffer size, but then I kind of start to hear me twice and I don't like that, so I just keep it where it is and maybe just get rid of the clariphonic for now because that drains a lot of CPU. So then rather utilize a bit of fab filter on the master and give it a nice little jump there. 1 dB high end. Honestly, might not be the best song I've ever written, but I think it's good enough to showcase what the strings can sound like. Especially the second part, I really like how they sound there. I will solo that out once more, that we can really listen to the strings on their own. So I'm going to save this now. What I'd be interested in would be really to check out what this would sound like with a kind of traditional seating. And I'm just thinking of a way how to approach that easily. Especially this second part here. Would be interesting. Okay, let's see. Let's put the violins really far left. So, and then we put the second violins, say minus 15, minus 20. And the violas plus 5. Cellos on 20. Another mosquito. Looks like we have another kill waiting for the live stream. And the bass is to the right, 45. Minus 40. Minus 20. 5. Okay, so this is what it would sound like with a traditional seating. Sounds nice as well, to be honest. Anyway, I think I'm going to close this down for today. As I've said, not the sharpest tool in the shed what I've ever written, but still nice. And just want to showcase a little bit what this library can sound like. And to sum it up, as I've mentioned in the beginning, I wouldn't use this as my go-to library for hard-hitting trailer stuff and all that good stuff that I'm doing currently. I would consider it more on the softer side overall, and not as energetic and big sounding like other libraries out there. Overall, I have to admit that it really starts to shine when you combine the normal strings with the Sordino strings. So, for example, Cinematic Studio strings, they have that Sordino function, which is just an EQ curve, I think, that they apply to the samples, which works, but is kind of a, yeah, when you compare it to the real deal, like real great sounding Sordinos, and I recently had some recording sessions for the game score that I've been working on, where we recorded a string quartet in different takes and did Sordino and normal takes next to each other, and it's just a world of a difference when you have real Sordino samples and combine them with the normal samples. There's nothing big to worry about, which is great because that means that ADO have improved in this field in comparison to older libraries like Adagio and even Agitado. The only thing that I could complain about, what I mentioned in the beginning, that the some of the patches like the Marcados, I haven't loaded them up here, but they have no key release samples, so they sound as long as they sound. You can't really control the length with lifting your finger off the key and then have a kind of stop. No, but I read on VI Control that Colin mentioned there that they're working on an update for this. I think they're also working on an update to have a mixed positions in situ, so where you really have pre-panned your sections to the corresponding place in the orchestra. I think it's a great library with a very unique tone. I really like the arcs, but this is something that also Spitfire came up with. For example, the Olafur Arnold's Chamber Evolution, not Chamber Evolutions, the yes, Arnold's Chamber Evolutions with these pre-recorded arcs and performances. It is something different when you have the players actually raise the intensity what they play on the bow instead of writing mod wheel and expression. It's something different when you have the actual performance. So this is great to have the arcs in this library as well. And I really like the legato, to be honest. Still, my favorite is Cinematic Studio Strings in terms of legato, but only in terms of sound, not in terms of playability. The playability for the ATO strings is really, really great. So they are very responsive, and I like the tone a lot. I think that's the main feature of the library. It just sounds phenomenal. And this should do it for today's stream. So this is the little track we've done today. I hope you enjoyed it, got something out of it, and if you like what you see, click subscribe on the YouTube channel once the video is up, and if you're watching on YouTube, leave comments, feel free to ask questions, and if you like it, go and buy it. Have a great night, afternoon, wherever you are. See you soon.